bots on the map. And I think now the ball is in Heretics' court. Can you adapt, knowing that LDLC knows exactly what you've been doing in games 1 and 2? In the second game, they countered you.
Series is even. Sides have not switched this entire series so far. The bans are staying the same. Both teams sticking somewhat to their guns. Heretics win this series. They go to Phase 4's BDSA. They can be the first LVP team since 2019 to go forwards. LDLC want a rematch with BDSA. Aatrox is the first pick.
Firstly, Trouble, again. Really good call. On the Aatrox first pick. I was going to say,
in the green room, literally.
That was when the game ended.
Exactly. So at the very least, I wanted to say, I think maybe drop the Draven prior. I think you've tried to run it now. It's not worked. In that particular facet, LDLC going again towards the Caitlyn. I want to actually see, honestly, just full topside play, actually. Swap up from Heretics from game number 2. I would be very, very happy to see a full, hey, let's make this Aatrox absolutely slam everybody in the game. And now the immediate response is actually Yike on his Viego.
It's something he's so famous for. And of course, if Ike goes towards his Ahri, something he's so famous for, that double reset option between the mid jungle. It's made very popular in spring and still has some potency here in summer, even if it is significantly less popular than it once was.
It's really fascinating how both of these junglers serve completely different roles. Yike is a little bit more of a, I'll farm my jungle, I'll carry it later on because my team is just such a strong wall in the early game that they will not fall, so I have the time to do this in my jungle. On the other hand side, Heretics live and die by Bluerzor's sword. If Bluerzor cannot be aggressive into this early game, get these ganks down towards that bot side of the map, it feels like Heretics kind of fall apart. So right here, I'm really loving... Okay, third time's a charm. I really love the fact that Bluerzor has gone with that Poppy. You can tower dive pretty easily with the champion. You can try and get that bot in the head. But for the love of God, no more enchanters next to that Draven. You need to be able to reach the Caitlyn. You need to be able to reach whoever's underneath this this tower. Go towards that Leona, Nautilus, anything that can play aggressive with the champion.
The Poppy and the Aatrox are a good start to help with that, and it's something that can be pretty aggressive on the invade, but a way to potentially prevent the easy engages is something like the Time Kench, but instead it's DOS back on the Braum. Had such strong performances so far in the Amazon European Masters playoffs. To be his second time in 3 games, he'll be picking this one as well.
Yeah, you know, I was wondering whether or not LDLC would drop the Rakan ban out of the 2 bans that they had from game number 2 and go towards the Karma instead. Obviously, still have room to do it, but they've banned away Karma this time. Will they go for that Chana kind of banned this time around? Heretics now, I think you're really just looking at mid laners, potentially rather top laners, I beg your pardon, that you don't want to have to run into. I feel like removing away the Ornn would kind of be a given, and then you kind of just go for something else that maybe your fearing Ragnar would go for in the counter matchup like this Fiora. And I think that's a pretty solid read from Heretics.
I think you go for the Karma here if you're Heretics. You're kind of really low on that engage/spill potential, because who's going to be reaching the Caitlyn, who's going to be peeling the Viego off of your Draven. There's a bunch of stacks that are going to be coming in through the Braum as well. So LDLC are like, we're more than happy for you guys to pick the Karma away if you so wish. Soraka is one of the stronger enchanters you can put against an aggressive bot lane champion such as the Draven or the Kalista, and it's been banned away. So right here, you can actually try to pick something like the Renekton if you want into the Aatrox. We mentioned how the champion does have the tools to play the 1v1.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me right now is that LDLC don't really have engaged tool. Oh, wow.
All right,
okay.
It's not BDSA, but clearly LDLC have picked up a thing or two from their other fellow brethren. Exactly, I think it's Dusty, exactly, Kerberos. Big Darius aficionado, and we've had a few of those. Ragnar will be picking up this time around, trying to counter the Aatrox with the Darius.
Trouble was really upset.
She's not happy. It's not locked in.
Locked in, Trouble. It's
just a Victor, where it might still be locked in. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that they hovered it might, well, they've been hovering quite a few funny things so far in this draft, so maybe just a throwback and they're going to swap up. We'll have to see, but Zvero on the Victor this time around. We'll see how he gets on with it this time. A lot more space buying from this mid lane mage. It's being hovered again. Now
Trouble's blood pressure's done for. All right, that's it.
How do I flip the table, man?
Please don't. We've got to use these.
It's rooted to the floor.
Yeah, it's quite screwed down. There's a lot of like PCs and stuff in here as well. That's quite an expensive table flip.
Oh,
go on.
That's so cool, actually. I really like this because realistically, everybody on Heretics is super immobile. And now you have this massive, what, like 3-second, 4-second cooldown cage once you've actually got
And
CDR.
what's your engage tool? If you're Heretics?
If you're Heretics, you have no engage tool, sure. As LDLC, you don't have an engage tool yourself. You kind of have pseudo ones where you kind of force the issue with things like Flash Apprehend or Flash Brawl Molt. But I think the fact that if you're just in front of an objective first or in front of an area you want to control first, the ability to just drop down the event horizon and say, hey guys, have fun, move forward for us, is so powerful.
I feel also like these tools that you just mentioned are so important to taking towers as well.
Yes.
So add this next to something like a Caitlyn, it's just so easy for you to push down towers and lanes. And also, if suddenly your opponent wants to start charging at you, you've got so many tools to peel off of them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, looking at how Heretics maybe want to approach some of these fights, they're going to have to get super creative and try and find angles from Ibo to actually split the fight apart or ensure that, you know, Event Horizon can only be placed in one spot, right? It can only be one way. I think you really have to try and, you know, go at it from 2 different angles. Otherwise, if you're LDLC, you're happy to take the front and back simply because, hey, Veigar's just going to melt whoever gets caught into it. Oh, hello.
Hello, everybody. We've got ourselves that is... Troubled frustration with the Enchanter alongside the Draven is now well noted. Okay, I'm going to let them play Hangman. I'm going to say that...
Need to tilt it a little bit.
Hey, production, can I get some new color casters? Because these two have clearly lost it. We're only 2.5 games in. We're heading on to the Rift for game 3 here, and just look at what LDLC has drafted. You've got so much zone control. You're walking into Decimate, Apprehend, the Viego, who's so good into that. You've got the Cage from Veigar. You've got the Traps from Caitlyn. You've got the Braum. Nightmare for Heretics to
And now the one thing I really want to see is how LDLC adapt from the level 1, because they had a very good read on Heretics in game number 2 and was maybe thinking they would go for a late invade here or just a straight up invade. They've got a ward on a red, but I think you look to both sides. They have the strong level 1 from Yike and Ragnar, but they also have the strong level 1, in my opinion, from Yike, Exekick, and DOS. You can see, actually, Heretics have a similar idea to at the very least get some vision down just to see where the jungler will start for this Viego.
I think Yike should start probably bot side of the map yet again, because you have the Draven and you've got the Karma. They're going to have priority towards the bot of the map, and they're going to bleed the vision. They're going to bleed that pressure into the bot pattern of Yike's jungle, as they always do, right? So this is again very predictable, really well read by the side of LDLC again. Now, I want to tell everyone to go grab blankets, drinks, and popcorn, because when there's 2 compositions with no actual hard engage, it's about to be a back and forth fiesta in the team fights, because none of them will be able to engage, and whoever runs into each other first ends up paying the blood price.
I raise you another Ragnar triple kill. What if it happens again? Maybe.
I don't know, man. Ibo's on the Aatrox this time.
We had a whole graphic for Ibo's Aatrox. It was pretty deadly. In fact, you know, Ragnar returned the favor with a triple kill early on that led to an 850-odd DPM game on the champion, which is doing very well so far in the series. Of course, Ragnar has gone towards this counter pick to try and hold it to account. We'll see whether it works out. Darius has been a little bit of a mixed bag at the tournament, sometimes really popping off and sometimes looking a little less than devastating.
I think one thing I'll always say about a pick like Darius is even if it doesn't always have the most explosive laning phase, as long as the rest of the map actually isn't falling apart, all it takes is one guillotine execution for him to just immediately start rolling through a team fight. And I think that's always the irritating thing about playing against this pick in competitive play. Even if you don't shut it down or even if it stays even, it's always relevant, because as soon as that 5th stack starts to come through, you immediately have to play the team fight differently. You immediately have to just back away to ensure that Darius is not looking to take over the entire team fight.
And now very cleverly, Sorry initialized, they have actually moved in. Zverev moved in and warded the chicken camp right there from the side of Heretics, which means that they do know that Yike is pathing all the way to that top side. Of course they knew, because that red buff ward did not spot him in the very early seconds. But look what's happening again, bot side. I mean, are we surprised at this point?
No, I mean, Heretics always bottom side focused. They have an idea of where Yike is. They know if they make this dive happen, there is not going to be a response. Yeah, maybe. I mean, one thing I was actually looking at is X-Kick has teleport, so even if you murder him, he's going to come back and probably still catch some of the wave. We'll see how this one plays out, though. A level advantage from the bottom lane.
Start your engine, stun into the wall, no combat summoners. It's not a cash-in for Jack Spectra. It's instead White-In. They can still redive, but White-In, that tower has not been your friend. Here comes the teleport back. It does flashing away, trying to get the kill. Can't quite secure it. Blue Resource secures it, but none of the kills are cashed in. No! It'll be a 1-for-1 at the end. It's still DOS who ironically picks it up with the Ignite, so supportal combat. Still a 2-for-1 in favor of Heretics.
I think Jack Spectra must be... I don't know, the most unfortunate Draven of all time. 3 kills have gone down the bot lane 3 games in a row, and Whiting has been the one to cash in on all 3 of them one by one. But again, that was a much better play towards that bot side of the map. They didn't commit into the invade, they committed into the dive, shutting down that Caitlyn, trying to get those early kills into the Draven. Yes, it didn't happen, but you've taken away the summoner spell from the Caitlyn. You end up killing DOS as well, so that's 2 kills. 2-1 from the side of LDLC, and LDLC only the support managed to get a kill off.
Yeah, I mean, Blurrizor, I think the idea was, hey, let's see if we can bully X-Kick again underneath the tower, so turns around, but still has the Ignite ticking, and a tower shot kills him. Now there's a red buff invade. This is such action going on. It's Yike that secures it. So Blurrizor's going to be the knight, and look at the CS difference actually from Yike and Blurrizor.
That's what you get for committing to a full clear versus making sure the early dive comes off. Look at the top lane, though. There's been a ghost blown for a flash, and that is a dangerous thing to trade with Darius. Now has the option to try and look for that apprehend and the kill should the level 6 come through. No teleport, of course, for Ragnar. So his reset will cost him just a little. But that summoner discrepancy may come back to bite Ibo as the game goes on. And I'm going to take this moment here as well to remind people that basically the games have gone by whoever wins the early game, whoever wins the jungle pressure, and both Yike and Blurrizor have been really trading out in the jungle so far. Invade for invade being traded off as nice cage in the bot, in mid lane rather.
It's a 2-level discrepancy in the jungle though, and even though Blurrizor has tried to be the more active one, Ragnar still has flash.
I don't know how much you want this flashing for the decimate, but now he's going to try and make it happen. Here comes Yike there. Oh my god! Double apprehend! Yike gets 1! And now Blurrizor has to back on out of there. That does not go well.
Well, I guess now Blurrizor can catch up with some of the wave. I mean, actually, Ibo's going to teleport back. I mean, look. Rubber banding XP, smile. I guess that's what he's going to be looking towards, but Yike is going to be a monster.
Yike is going to be absolutely a monster right here because LDLC, we said they're so good at absorbing that early game pressure. That's what got them through the LFL. That's what won them the finals. There are not many teams that can break them in the early game because they just read them so well. Blurrizor, again, he has been a monster, being all over the map, but by doing this, you're missing out on a lot of experience and gold, and a level 3 versus a level 5 Diego that comes towards the top side of the map. I mean, this is only gonna get worse and worse for instead of Heretics, and even though, yes, you have pinned that Caitlyn underneath the tower, it doesn't really matter. You've got 3 more carries towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, you have to really feel for Heretics at the moment. Sure, Jack Spectra, he's doing his thing down here.
100 gold, it's great.
Gold, it's an okay gold lead.
No. All right, there's the passive stacked. Not going for the execution quite yet. The health bar is a little low for Ragnar. Over comes Blurrizor. Now that blue rubber banding has actually got him up 2 levels.
It's broken.
There you go.
I'm telling you, it's not a balanced mechanic.
That is a lot of CS discrepancy as well, and yet still at level 50.
I hate the jungle role for players.
We both play it.
Haven't you a jungler?
Yep.
We're both junglers, but that's actually Ragnar with the level 6. I don't know how much damage Blurrizor is just doing passively. It's quite a lot. That's pretty big. So much damage coming through. Gonna try and turn this around. Oh my god! No! Misses the apprehend. Should still now go down. My days, Ragnar. Nearly got away with murder there.
Oh, I screamed like a little girl. I was so scared for it. Oh, Ragnar got the first execute as well. You could maybe expect him to take down Ibo. Remember, the Conqueror was stacked up as well. He could have healed through.
It's not
now
done.
It's turned into an invade.
They know Blurrizor is topside. He has a 3 set.
He's dead.
Struck through the heart. Yikes to blame. Gonna take the blue buff and move on there. I'll leave the Bon Jovi references alone for now.
I'm just gonna say right here
Why
that
not?
Yike is one of the best junglers when it comes out to choking out his opponents off of golden experience. Once he's ahead on his farming champions like the Belbeth, like the Viego, he just never lets go of the gas pedal. He tracks always where the opponent jungler is, and he just takes his advantage straight into his opponent's face. And right here, I wouldn't be surprised if he did the chickens and just straight up entered river again. Blurrizor is still level 5. With just cooldown reduction boosts.
He could consider it because Ragnar still has Ghost and the armor. Yeah. He didn't get to use it. And now he's starting to see a bit of a late rotation here. DOS is on his way. The Herald will go the way of Heretics at the very least.
Too late.
A little bit too late, but I mean, honestly, I would fear for Heretics if it was LDLC who were able to get a fight off in that moment.
Well, certainly debating, but Ibo now in a 1v1 versus X-Kick, who did not want that one. Flash pop by the Caitlyn.
Honestly, for me, a whoopsie from LDLC to not move into this river, having the stronger members towards that top side of the map. They did have DOS right there as well. Brom is broken in these sort of situations. You apply your stack onto someone, that someone gets run down. And they also have Ica level 8. That ultimate from Veiga does so much damage when people have so little resistances and HPs onto them. Now DOS heading towards the top side.
Trying to make sure he can help defend this Darius. It will be a 2v3. Ragnar lands the apprehend, but the renewal afterwards means Ragnar has to back away. Ica now roaming up alongside Yike! Jack Spectra cashes in. The execution ensures that Draven's brother feels the price indeed. It is a blood one, and now 1,000 gold the lead for Jack Spectra over his lane opposition.
Hold on. That was an even gold difference between Draven and Caitlyn. Suddenly there's 1,000 gold
out of nowhere
towards Jack Spectra out of nowhere. And mind you, the way that ultimate works is the more stacks you have, the more the execute scales with the stacks that Draven is holding. So if you were surprised by how Ragnar died from 30% HP, that's how he died.
10 minutes of stacks.
I was literally about to say, wow, this is the closest early game we've had. And then this plays happen and Jack Spectra has 1,000 gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, we just need to look at the execute really, right? Ragnar gets hit by a bunch of poke, 2 axes, 300
Okay, not
damage.
30%, okay, I misjudged.
You know,
That's pretty close now.
300, take off 1-0, slap a percent in there.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
And in fairness, there was still another half of that ultimate to come through, right? So he could have pulled that blade straight back and done increased amount of damage. The Eclipse now completed as well. That Draven is online.
Honestly, Ragnar tried to do something very clever right there. He used his Q to try and clear up the minion wave and then apprehend Draven underneath the tower to possibly try and force a flash. Unfortunately for him, 1 minion survived, which meant that Jack Spectra did not get any aggro underneath that tower. But again, very well done, trying to get ahead onto this Aatrox, onto the Draven. Back to the Aatrox, though. This has been a champion that has consistently been getting ahead no matter which team plays him in this series. There hasn't necessarily been one champion in a 1v1 that has shut down that top lane wherever the champion ends up being. And honestly, if it continues being a problem, I wouldn't be surprised if for the rest of the series it would be one or straight up back.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see it. And I was going to bring up the fact that this dragon hadn't been taken down in over 10 minutes. It's been taken down relatively early this series, but throughout a lot of the Amazon European Masters, it often goes a little bit unchecked. Heretics have their first.
That's production sorting us out there. Ivo back on that Aatrox. We saw Ragnar pop off in it the last game.
Make this a 4-0 by now.
Hey, I don't want to derail the cast or anything, guys, but the fact that Cloud hasn't spawned in yet, I'm here to chill it until the end of the cast.
We were trying to make a point about how strong Aatrox is, and maybe Ivo can pop off again, and this is where you take us.
You know what? It's very unfortunate. When Amir is here, people just perma-pick Ari. When you're here, Cloud Soul keeps popping up.
Is there like a casting call of Cloud Soul?
Do you know what it is?
I'm sitting here, and I don't even get a Katarina hover anymore.
All right, look, actually, back to the game, because Blurrizor is trying to force into a lane because that Herald is running out. If you take a look at the bottom side of your screen, it's only got about 30 seconds or so left. So I think, judging by his movement, mid lane is probably where you want to go towards. I think, like you made the point earlier, could have actually got cancelled, but he makes it out in time. Herald's going to come down. I think they might be able to kill it if they don't. Oh my god! No! Yike used Heartbreaker to not get knocked back by Blurrizor. That was sick! Oh my god! Yikes!
Hats off! Yikes! This guy's so good.
I'm actually taken back by that. That was so cool. Good job, Yike. Holy moly.
All right, well, we're on the press. I was about to say something more, but the Herald just falls out like that.
It's not often all 3 of us just stunned by the fact that Yike just outplayed
this guy's so good.
It might be Heretics with 800 gold in the lead, but LDLC have got the mental error.
They do now. After that.
I mean, what a player Yike is as well. This guy has pub stomped LFL. Like, he is so good. He, Sheo, a few of the other LFL jungles are truly spectacular, but for me, Yike has been right at the top of that table for a very good reason, and he's on one of his signature picks in the Viego. Just knows the ins and outs of this champion, pulling off a little play like that, one of those small mechanics that allows that Herald to not come off. Huge stuff for LDLC.
And not only does it save them gold, but also it just saves the possibility of if Heretics either siege later on in the game or just so happen to get the second Herald, all of a sudden that mid lane tier 1 is no longer a foregone conclusion. And as you was going to say from last game, it's bastion of safety when you have these wave clear mid lanes.
Another massive stun. Oh my god! The burn's not quite there, but Whited taken down to a sliver of HP.
Also, what I want to comment on that Rift Herald, usually when that Rift Herald does not return you any more gold other than the gold that it will return you when you kill it, you've spent so much time on the Rift trying to take that Herald down. Bluerzor was under-leveled, he hadn't reset on the map, so you have sacrificed a bunch of tempo to take that Rift Herald for it to not cash in anything for you.
I want to turn your eyes down towards that bot lane again, because that 1,000 gold lead has disappeared. Caitlyn just had so much free time with that turret cashed in her cull, and is now basically back to even as well, so Exekick right back in. Of course, the Caitlyn hasn't necessarily snowballed as we've often seen when Caitlyn's been priority back in the past. But that's still cred to LDLC for kind of stalling out what was looking to be something of a slight snowball from just a few minutes ago.
Honestly, what I find really interesting from LDLC, they don't necessarily use the Caitlyn as a tool to siege towers, because if you look around the map, you have so much damage in general that is AD from the Viego and the Darius. They use her as a neutralizer to the short-range carries that Jack Spectra can pull out, the Kallistas, the Dravens, the Lucian, who was banned in that case, right? So they use it as a neutralizer to stay safe, to be able to take any offense underneath her tower and actually come out unscuffed on the champion. And so far, LDLC have used this to perfection.
Yeah, they have. And I want to see how they use it in the mid-game, right? We already spoke about being first at the objective for both of these teams with a lack of engage on either side, especially when you've got Event Horizon from Ica, is going to be absolutely huge. Caitlyn kind of fulfills the same kind of role too with those traps. You just kind of trap up every single entrance, and all of a sudden you have to just eat the poke from one of your frontliners, or you can't really gain access to the river ever.
And speaking of events on the horizon, it's a minute until a dragon coming up, and that might be when we start seeing those those abilities used to set things up. Yike, though, maybe looking to preempt the setup by going for a dive, but Bluerzor here as well. A 3v3, but Yike flashes for a Spectral Maw, and a reset. Traps come in afterwards, and it's 2 for LDLC in a matter of moments.
Perfection, perfection. They're ahead of the play. LDLC pulling another dive. Jack Spectra loses his stocks again this game. Last game, he kept losing them over and over again. It didn't pan out well right here. Caitlyn is ahead 600 gold. Remember that 1,000 gold that Jack Spectra cashed in? Well, wave goodbye to that because she's going to have to farm a lot more to get that. Oh,
Ragnar does land the apprehend. Won't stack too much more, and this game has felt very back and forth. We've seen slight leads for Heretics, and now it's inverted right back towards LDLC, about 1,000 gold. We've got a teleport coming through. Ivo pops the World Ender, needs to get over the wall. I don't know whether he's going to get out of there. Exekick with the teleport and the blast code denial. It's a 1v4, but there's a glacial fishing back over the wall. I think you might have been worth just giving it up, mate. Nowhere to go. Cute, but not cute enough.
I will get out somehow! Ivo shouts. But too many members, too many angles, and now this actually buys Heretics.
I pranked you!
And I buys Heretics the ability to just get this dragon. LDLC actually going to poke their heads in, but I think it's too little too late. It's a Cloud Dragon. In your face. I'm here.
Okay, we're going to find mind that. I literally looked away from the screen to like sigh at Jamada, and they get a kill while it was happening.
Kind of in Doss's face.
Kind of in Doss's face, yeah. That's quite unlucky. Replay. Topside play. But do we have to?
Yes.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to give F for effort to Eyeball right here. Because he's trying to go right, he finds someone else. He does it through the wall, he finds someone else. He flashes back in, there's someone else. He's like, how many people do these guys have on the top quadrant? Like, how many do they need to defend that red buff anyway? Very unfortunate for Eyeball right there. But he did keep 4 members occupied on the top side of the map, while he's still about 40 CS up on Ragnar, and his team managed to take the second dragon of the game, which is a pretty good win con to have in the game if you're Heretics.
Yeah, definitely, and I actually want to kind of start to talk about the state of the game now that we're approaching the 20-minute mark, because for me, Ica has been very silent in this game, and you know what? When you're on a champion like Veigar, you don't mind a quiet early game if you just get to sit there and scale for free. All the passive stacks he has to have at this point, he's probably chilling at like 300, 400 AP alone.
In fact, production, can we have a look at those Veigar stacks? Not checked in so far into the game. Be nice to see where he's at in terms of the AP. 166 right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's just got Everfrost and a Needlessly Large Rod, and he's got 315 AP. He is vibing right now.
Yes, the Primordial Burst is going to live up to that last part of the name. Looking more like an Execute right now as Ivo does finally get that tier 1. So Heretics on the board in terms of towers, and it keeps the gold relatively even right now, despite LDLC feeling like they're the ones who've been the proactive members of the last few fights. Important to note, though, that it is Heretics that have stacked the early 2 dragons, so they are on track for something like a Soul Wing condition. They do actually, for as much as I hate to admit it, probably use the Cloud Soul pretty well.
It's pretty good stuff.
Okay, is this going to hit the tower? I want your predictions now.
Yes, yeah. Come on.
Look, it's fine. I believe in it. Okay, it does hit the tower. And the thing is, I was slightly nervous the moment we brought it up. I was like, yeah, it's going to hit for sure. I was like, have we cursed this?
Maybe, what if it doesn't? Maybe like
So that's why I didn't speak.
Like I could just instant transmissions to the Herald, puts the event horizon down. You're not going anywhere. Don't move.
Oh dear.
Makes the charge though.
But again, we talked about these two compositions, the fact that they do not have, unfortunately, a hard go button from any side. This is why they keep bouncing the waves back and forth. The fights that they have found have been in very small choke points in the jungle when people do not have the wiggle room to move around and maneuver around all these, not auto attacks, but poke that's coming out from either something like a Victor or a Draven or an Aatrox. On the other hand, you have the Veigar and the Caitlyn. So they're trying to pivot in a way where they can actually find fights, and when you do have a Poppy and your Heretics, these fights will be around that jungle where there's a bunch of walls, when you can try to find that E on a wall, stun someone, have everyone follow up on them.
Yeah, Heretics really, what they need to do at this point is just try and find priority where they can and ensure that they try and put LDLC on the back foot always. Because whilst I can say Heretics into a lot of the, or rather LDLC into a lot of the Heretics tools, they can probably approach and make a slow advance into any controlled territory by Heretics. I feel like Heretics can't really say the same thing on the opposite side. If you have to check into Event Horizon from Veigar, all the Caitlyn traps, DOS existing as Braum, it's just too much to walk forward. It's so tricky. And again, going back to the point I made all the way when we came into this game, Heretics, if they are the ones on the back foot, they are really going to have to try and get creative and make sure that they're not always approaching at one angle. They have to try and come in two different sides. The only issue is you'd expect Aibo or Blue to do that, but those are the frontliners for Heretics. So if they are making that advance on different sides, all of a sudden, Zviru, Jack Spectra, and Wyan are left pretty much to the wolves.
It's been a very close game indeed. Neck and neck in the gold. It's an advantage for Yike versus an advantage for Aibo. Both players very capable of carrying games, done so this series already, and it may well be on them to make it happen. They are the ones with the leads right now, and maybe eyes on the bot laners as well, looking to get towards those third items ASAP. Death Cap nearly completed for Ica, whereas Viral has already got that Banshees in. So with a Cloud Dragon on the table in 45 seconds, eyes on the river, eyes on the setup. Trouble?
And this is why a lot of the times we say that dragons are a win condition for a team, not necessarily because if you take the soul, you win the game. Right here, Heretics, the two dragons have bought themselves 10 minutes of time.
Oh, that combo is so brutal. Blue Rosa flashes out, but a Primordial Burst takes him out. The massive whirling death shuts it down. Jungler for jungler, there's no smites on the board. They were smited instead by their opposing numbers. Chaos Storm comes out and tracks DOS down to 20% HP. Tower in mid lane at Sliver HP, but we've seen that haunt Heretics just last game. And Horizon misses this time around, and it's a 4v4 in the mid lane.
I was about to say, Heretics don't fancy fighting that. They do not have to, but they do strike back. Both junglers down. Teams are still gonna move into towards that bot side river. Heretics are more than happy to allow LDLC to advance on them.
They do, but LDLC, they can still put down things like the Event Horizon, make things awkward. They're gonna try and start this dragon up, and you can see Aibo, he's looking for this angle. Wants it.
So dangerous, level 14. The Gordrake complete, and the other one to keep an eye on is, of course, this Victor's Varo. So deadly already. Aibo being engaged on so much damage. He's going to try and get the wall, but he's stunned in place. Ragnar gets that one. Blue Resort has respawned. Dragon is secured by Victor. They're on soul point, but they lose the additional member. Can they get out? That was the question. Whiten trying to get out. Ragnar is just chasing on the other side, trying to get up to Blue Resort. Doesn't quite hit, but lands the apprehend afterwards. Misses the Decimate, will back away. I don't know whether LDLC want to keep chasing. They are going very deep here. I think that's going to be the end of it for now.
Again, what we're talking about, the more dragons you have, the more time it takes.
Jack Spectre cleanses, still fighting the whirling death. Comes back on corner. He's down. That's Ica with that one. Yike coming for the flank. He's in that black mist, looking to get forward. The renewal holds him in pace, but the ace in the hole. Yike shut down by Zvaro. That Victor. Oh, so deadly. Low health bars now from LDLC. They're going to teleport Aibo, who's just respawned. How deep are they going? There's not the best wall. Blue Resort looking for the flank. Does not have flash. Maybe, just maybe, they can keep pumping. The event Horizon will prevent the easy follow.
They're going to go the long route. Look at Blizzard. They don't want to stop. Ragnar's going to try and flank as well. Aibo's over the wall.
That Caitlyn trap was so good, preventing the easy follow-up. The event Horizon coming down again. Oh my god, the damage onto Ica. Deleted in the mid lane, or the bot lane, I apologize. It's been all over the map so far. Heretics even up the kill score. The gold is 500 apart.
Oh my god, it's just back and forth, isn't it? They're just trading blows straight up. The only difference really now is that Heretics have the advantage in the Dragon department. They are one away from Soul. Look at this event.
I feel like every time I mention the word Dragon, a fight breaks out. So I might use it just for a little bit more of attention right here. But Jack Spectra missed steps, goes a little bit too far forward, gets ulted in the face by the Veigar, and Yike missing that Q crucially right there meant he's dead. So that's 2 kills that are going over, 1 kill that's going over to both teams, and Blue Azure starts chasing. Event Horizon is going to stop him, but he's going to wrap around the jungle. But very crucially, Ragnar has always been shadowing this entire fight. But Heretics will keep chasing and they'll get another one for themselves. Now, obviously, I thought right here, having 2 members down and with Yike spawning, you could maybe run it towards that Baron, but you never want to take the 50-50 when the jungle has just respawned.
Now that Victor is 3-0. Building towards what looks to be a death cap, and with that Banshee spell, can actually potentially get through that first line of zone control and continue to do what he was doing just there, which was delete people, apparently. And it is getting to that point where, for all the tools we've seen from both sides, it feels like every time's been neck and neck in terms of the kills. The discrepancy now, though, is that Heretics have got...
Jax Vector just stole the move up across the map.
all right.
Observers, can I take a look on the top quadrant of Heretics jungle, because it is lit up in blue wards and blue side vision for Heretics right here. If LDLC pull the trigger to try and start something like the Baron, which is the big objective on the map right now, if you want to finish this game with how much wave clear there is on both teams, you need that purple warm buff. They have plenty of vision, so they do not have to face check to try and get in for a fight versus LDLC. And LDLC, which with their composition, with the Veigars, with the Caitlyn's, you want to be first to the play. You want to be setting down these traps. You want to make sure that that one road that you've left open for your opponents to walk through, Veigar's going to be taken care of.
You know, one thing I really want to note as well, LDLC can probably murder the Baron over the wall, with Heretics actually not having too much of an idea that that's going on, just for reference. So I wonder if LDLC actually catch onto this at some point. Let's say, like Heretics, for example, they tunnel onto the Cloud Soul. Maybe you just go trade it for a Baron.
It's very OP, man. What can I say?
Look, now, whilst I will say...
Here we go.
Oh, never mind. Ragnar wants a 1v1.
It's a 2-level discrepancy.
Aibo doesn't.
Yeah, that's the ghost. And Ragnar, despite those level discrepancies, feels like he's feeling this one. Going to start trading off. The Infernal Chains are dashed away from. Ghost still running. Ragnar would love this. Misses the apprehend.
I got TP though for this play.
Wow.
So if LDLC do not force the issue right here, they've blown the ghost from Ragnar's Darius, which Darius with not a ghost can very hardly teamfight, especially when you have so many tools to keep him away from the sort of Heretics. And also blowing that teleport from Ica is going to hurt the crossbar play a little bit.
Well, indeed. You know, keep an eye on Yike's inventory as well. He's gone towards that Blade of the Ruin King again on this AD champion. Eponymous, of course, for Viego, but all the same, it does help out with that Baron rush you were saying. Between the Darius, the Caitlyn, the Viego, that's a pretty quick Baron take if they get the opportunity, though. Like,
all they really have to do is just send Yike over the back of the wall with Heartbreaker and do it. I'm just saying. Like, it's a very, very fast Baron. And right now, it's just the control ward at the moment, which can very easily be cleared away. But Heretics, they want this Cloud Soul, and I think when we've got no engaged tools on both sides, actually, the out of combat movement speed is pretty high value. Getting to places first. It's one of those unquantifiable values that you can't really always immediately see. But if you're always noticing Heretics first to the play, it'll be small things like this, and LDLC are trying to force the issue.
So many champions who would love the move speed. Yike, though, hits up with the Infernal Chains down to half HP. It's Heretics holding court in the river, and they're looking to dethrone the LFL first. He take them out in playoffs. 1-1 the game scores. Both these teams looking to secure a match with VDS Academy. LDLC actually calling the bluff, heading towards the Baron. You said it was quick.
LDLC are like, screw it, you can take your Cloud Soul away. We're gonna take Baron because this is what's gonna end the game. The Baron, more minions. The fact that the Victor is not gonna be able to one-shot the wave.
Blue Azure, gonna try to get in range. That's a decent event horizon, but the jungler's still in the pit. Down, smited. Baron secure, but can LDLC escape? So much XP! Whirling Death secures one, but what about the rest of it? Ragnar trading with Blue Azure. I'm not sure you win that one versus the Draven. Knock into the wall, though. Keeps him low. Yike into the backup. There's him 3 members trying to survive. Flash over into the pit. Jack Spectre gets that one. Massive kill for him. Aibo wants it. It's a 3 versus Aibo, and I think Aibo might win it. Event Horizon will pull them away. They'll get the Baron, but lose 2 in trade alongside the Cloud Soul.
And I simply ask for this trade because LDLC, they're the ones that are harder to actually move into. So if they have the Baron and they can try to set up a siege, I don't mind them trading the soul for this as long as they get immediate value, right? Cloud Soul, it's not a combat soul, it's all about, well, outside of the art part, but it's not really a combat soul, it's about getting to places first. And honestly, it's only really Aibo that abuses this soul in combat heavily, so I don't mind this trade happening at the moment. Again, it's just about what you can get from it because...
Oh, Hexa kick.
That fight massively massively backfired from LDLC.
Yes.
They wanted the Baron, they wanted to siege. That's the only way you win this game with not a lot of engage. With sieging power, you've got the Caitlyn, you've got the Event Horizon with the Veigar. You can create space, allow the Caitlyn to take down towers together with Baroned up minions. But Heretics abused the soul that they just got, sprinted it down after they took the soul.
DOS, why are you doing this one? It's a 3v1. Randa's coming over, does land a Glacial Fissure. That might keep things a bit more even, but overcomes the Whirling Death and so much damage down onto the Brawl, who's melted. Who cares about Permafrost? And Aibo on that Aatrox begins to run rampant. Yikes looks for the reset, but instead just becomes food for the meat grinder. Heretics come out with 3.
Oh, we talk how difficult it is for Heretics to find openings, and LDLC are single-handedly giving them to them.
Silver player!
Yeah, they're playing into the jungle, they're playing into the strengths of something like a Poppy that can stun you into the wall and keep you there forever. And DOS, way too overextended. He's trying to shadow for the Caitlyn, of course, it's in the mid lane. But the second you find one intruder in the jungle, they're never gonna be alone, and Poppy thrives in these jungle fights. Everyone from Heretics comes in and LDLC are scattered across the map. By the time more members arrive, half of them have already died.
It's just an overstep from DOS. What are you doing? I like your call on this very much. And Heretics, they wipe most of the Barons off of the members of LDLC. And look at the Baron power play! It's a power play, just maybe not for them, unfortunately.
A reminder, you come up with like 2,000 gold, 1,500 gold for getting Baron in the first place. So
Yes.
it's a massive swing.
It's so massive, man. And now, the one thing I guess we kind of have to naturally focus on now is just Elder. It's 3 minutes. What's the setup going to look like for that? I don't mind talking about it this early because it's a game-ending buff. Again, I would still favor LDLC if they make it to the river first. But so far, we haven't really seen that level of setup come to fruition. Ivo
has an Umbral dash and a way into the pit, so is fine for now. But I kind of agree with you there, Jamade. So many tools if you can set up first, but that's just not being the case. And Heretics have been so good about ensuring that they do not lose vision control where it matters.
I was literally about to point this out when they wanted to go for Baron. That bot quadrant was fully lit up. Look at the quadrant Blue Resort is in right now. It's fully lit up with blue wards as well. This is the side they want to play through. This is where they have Jack Spectre. They make sure he stays safe. He's not with them though. And LDLC are bunched up on a 5-man unit. They know because they see Jack Spectre on the side. They can force the issue.
They can really control this choke here if they decide to with the Event Horizon. There you go, force Heretics further back, get the tower, disengage.
Now you're going to start losing inhibitors.
Oh yes,
they
that's
need to
the
get
only
out of
problem.
here.
I mean, Jack Spectre getting all the gold, he's so powerful at the moment. 4 items.
Teleporting back. That will be the AD carry going away, but Ivo,
they're forcing
Horizon, they're going to try and play this one in 4v4. Big stun upon Ivo, but now Yike and Ica caught out in the Baron pit. Ica down to 50 HP. Will get the GA, but nothing else. It's a 1 for none right now, all the while Inhibitor Turret stands at the very least.
This fight that comes after this pick, potentially, depending on what Heretics want to do, because they've got this wave in the top side. Looks like they don't necessarily want to use it. I think the waves clear the way just about enough for LDLC to call this a reset.
Oh my days! Both teams have been trying so desperately to find the advantage. Is it Jack Spectre? Holds his ground, tries to stand and deliver. This time nothing comes bad, and it is edge of your seat action. It's popcorn. It's a Michael Bay special, and it's looking like it will be explosions all over the rift. Trying to find the first kill. Shut down. But it's a 1 for 1. Jack Spectre cashes in and will get a kill on to DOS. Ike is still dead, but has teleport. A minute until the Elder Dragon. Are you not entertained?
But Heretics have always been using their numbers disadvantage to win time for someone on a side lane. In the mid lane fight, it was Jack Spectre taking all the way down that bot lane, all the way to that inhibitor tower. This time is Zvera onto that Victor on the top side of the map, pushing in constantly. They're using these fights in these choke points to try and win as much pressure as possible for the one that's split pushing the map. And if they do manage to get a kill through that, that's pretty good. That's a freebie for them. Now, of course, we measure how Heretics love to fight through these choke points because they want to use the power of the Poppy. But right there, Blue Resort overextends a little bit, gets caught by the upper hand, pulled back into all the LDLC members, and they ended up trading 1 for 1. But the true winner right here is Botlane Wave was pushing, Zvera was pushing top side of the map. So Heretics, again, coming up with a W.
The waves were set up, so now Heretics are here first. And look at the vision. Do LDLC even have vision?
They've got 1 ward.
Nothing. The river is practically darkness. They've got that controlled in the bottom side, but that doesn't really give you much. Heretics right now, they're looking for mid lane priority because they know they can force LDLC into them. It's giving them the best choices for team fights at this moment. Now the Elder spawned up, and LDLC, they've got to force through a lot of poke from Jack Spectre from Zviru.
The House of Dragon's been airing on TV, and I tell you this, the jungle is dark and full of terrors, and it's full of an Elder Dragon that's being started by Heretics.
So fast.
LDLC need to get in. They need to be a Rage Trisil. They're going to try and immune the ultimate, but it's Yike! Steal the Elder! Just like that! But he's still going to lose his life, but what can the rest of LDLC do? They want to trade it out. The Chaos Storm comes down, but it is a moment of heroics, a moment to hold on in the game. What a steal!
Yike might have just kept LDLC in this one. If they pick up the Elder, Heretics, you have to imagine they just look for a fight and end. That flash in lane was so clutch.
Baron is up. LDLC can literally force the issue by going on to Baron. Heretics have to stop them. We mentioned Baron is the winning play right here. Having the siege minions because of how much wave clear is on both sides of the map.
How good is Yike? He immuned the Poppy knock away with his ultimate to flash in and steal the Elder. This guy is just too clutch. 3, 5, and 3 does not do justice.
Heretics surely don't want this.
Plays. They're going to try and try it. They have got the 4v5. They do it so quickly. He can try stealing. Watch for the W! Not secured quite. Heretics secured the Baron, and they'll now try and get out of here. My days, this game could not be closer. Let's have a look at the replay, and Yike pulls out the steal of his career.
So again, LDLC are completely choked out of the play. You see that Ibo is on the flank. They know they have vision on Ibo, so they cannot walk in. They're all stuck into this choke point. Yike is like, F it, I'm gonna try to steal it for my team. Jumps in and does steal away the Elder Dragon. LDLC, huge props to them for being so patient and actually pulling out of this play to not lose that win condition that Yike just created for them.
F stands for Flash. Yike uses him to perfection and keeps LDLC alive in this game. Still got a little bit of time, can't quite secure the Winter's Bite or the Concussive Blows passive to lock down the Aatrox. Yes, the kills look good for Heretics, but my days, the gold is close. Close enough at this point in the game to not matter a damn.
My word, it's so true. And even Jack Spectre sold his boots. He's a 6-item Draven at this point. He is so damn strong.
He's got a Karma, he's got a Cloud Soul, he's got Mikhail's.
The problem right here is that Exakik still has that Elder Dragon still running on him for 20 seconds. He can make a pick even on the Poppy. This headshot can take 50% of your HP. Guess what? You only need about another 20% and then you're executed by the Elder Dragon buff.
The big problem is, no one has Engage Tools trouble, so no one can even utilize it. And, well, it's gonna fizzle and we return to no mega buffs on the map.
Don't worry, man.
Don't know.
3.5 minutes, we have another Elder Dragon.
Hold on to your seats. It has been a turbulent, torrid, dramatic run through the EU Masters for both of these teams. 5-game series apiece. Heretics, the LVP, looked a little down and out after spring, and they come in and prove everyone wrong against the Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. They're looking to shove in here with the Baron buff and secure a second game win. LDLC, the LFL first seed, the pre-tournament favourites, looking to return after spring was such a disappointment in the finals. Now there was no Karmine Core. Now they were on the side of the bracket with no other LFL teams. And yet they're about to go down in this series, potentially holding on.
Spectre on the side, though, he could potentially get caught, so he has to run around and join his team. But you cannot do it through these choke points. Exactly, because this is the easy way for you to get engaged on or checked out and maybe blow your flush.
And you know what, LDLC, sure, not on the side of any LFL team. Do you know what they were on the side of? Every other champion in the goddamn bracket. So right now, Heretics proving their worth, and they are on the cusp of going 2-1 up. They've still got a fair amount of time left of this Baron buff. They've already got that middle inhibit. They've got the top side tower. The inhib should surely fall.
Oh,
great,
my days.
Great shield from DOS.
Uneasy rest the crown, indeed. The LDLC first seed from LFL being pushed to the absolute limit here in this game. It is so damn close, but it is Heretics with the shove. That Elder buff worn out now. 2 minutes until it respawns again. I need to hold on, do what they can.
Heretics are pushing the top side of the map with the minion wave. They're shoving in that minion as well. Look on the bottom of the map. Ibo is pushing yet another wave in. They've synced in 3 waves all at once. They're trying to force the trigger from LDLC. One mistake from LDLC, one step forward, and they're completely deleted. But don't forget, 1 minute and 40, another Elder Dragon coming up on the map. LDLC was lucky with Yikes still to take that one away because the entire river was absolutely run down by Heretics members. Doors on the side.
Drums in the deep, LDLC are coming, trying to get onto Jack's back through Flash, cleanses away. Ivo looking to turn it around. Massive amount of damage, but Blue Resort in the back end knocks one away. Flash for the heroic charge. Jack Spectra picks up the first. Ivo picks up the second. 2 dead, and Heretics will claim a second win here in this series.
LDLC 3 against 5. Can they hold off? I don't think they'll be able to anymore. Ika's gone. He's so much of their burst damage, and Heretics know this. They're onto the Nexus Towers.
A Shirelia's and Inspired are charging onto Ragnar. Darius cannot hold the Noxian Empire alive. He's executed instead of doing the executing. 2-1 Heretics.
And for anyone who does not want to see an LF